right, before I tell you who I am and what I do, I want to tell you why I do it. So when my dad was 18 years old, he was the first person in his family to go to college. And he took a quarter off of college in order to, that gets me every time. He took a quarter off of college in order to pay for it because he couldn't afford it anymore. And that quarter he got drafted for Vietnam. He came back to Vietnam to totally change man. If you fast forward 30 years, I was 22 when I figured out that room in the basement with the lights and the plants in it, what he was doing. And let me tell you, he was not growing tomatoes. 12 years later, the day before Veterans Day in 2014, we had just taken down our first legal harvest of marijuana. And my dad became one of the 22 veterans that commit suicide every single day. It literally says compose yourself in my speech right here. So when you wonder and when you ask why I do what I do and where I get the energy to raise small children and run a business and be the president of the Cannabis Alliance, I do this every day for my dad. I do this every day for the veterans who can't get access to medicine that we know works for them and can help make their lives better. I do this for the mothers and for the fathers who as children are suffering with terminally ill diseases or whose grandparents are suffering and they can't get access, and we know it works. And I do this for the wives and the mothers and the daughters whose husbands and brothers and fathers are sitting in jail for selling a plant to people who wanted to buy it. It's time to raise our consciousness and to stop this insanity. Okay, got it. That's the heavy stuff. So my name is Danielle Rosellison, and I am serving my second term as a democratically elected president for the Cannabis Alliance. You guys keep voting me into this position. I'm not really sure why. I'd like to think it's because of my serial optimism and charming good looks, but I think it's much, much deeper than that. I think that if I had to guess, it is because of my comprehension of this industry as a business owner and a big part of this industry since long before it was legal. I think it's my vision of how we collectively want humanity to evolve. And I think it's my empathy for all parties involved, willing and unwilling. The NIMBYs and their feelings are just as important as ours. Good leaders, we listen to all sides of the coin. We empower people to work on issues that are important to them and to bring multiple perspectives to the table so that we can find common ground and find a solution that works for everybody. Any policymakers or regulators in this room know that there are a whole lot of opinions inside the cannabis industry. And it would make your guys' jobs a whole lot easier if we could all come to agreement and find common ground before we showed up at your doorsteps, made phone calls and emails. And that's exactly what the Cannabis Alliance does. The Cannabis Alliance is made up of producers, processors, retailers, labs, and transport companies. We're also made up of other associations, patients, hemp enthusiasts, ancillary businesses, 502 employees, consumers, a few haters here and there that are just here to troll us, and veterans. We at the Cannabis Alliance are advocating for the betterment of everyone, a socially conscious industry that cares about employee wages, that cares about our communities, patient access to affordable health care, the environment, as well as our bottom lines. I'd be a really silly business person and my marketing expert would kill me if I didn't mention that I also own Trailblazing Productions. We are a licensed Tier 2 producer-processor in Bellingham, Washington that produces pesticide-free, medical-grade, award-winning cannabis using 100% LED technology and water reclamation systems. To give you an idea of what that means, we use 50% less power consumption than normal indoor grows that use HPS, which is approximately enough to power 150 homes per year in our current situation. And we went from using 500 gallons of water a day to 40 with the, you mentioned my husband came up in one day, the water automation system. We didn't make these choices to save money. It's not why you put LEDs in. We made these choices because it's the right thing to do. It is for the greater good, and those morals and values that drive our decisions and our business practices at Trailblazing are exactly the same morals and values that I bring to the Cannabis Alliance and that our board members share. It's been an honor and a privilege to volunteer with the Cannabis Alliance. I gotta be honest with you guys, I have no interest in starting an industry again. Every business is new, every association is new, every regulatory procedure is new. It's total chaos. I mean, total chaos. And the journey forward is really daunting. But the people who make up the members of the Cannabis Alliance find time away from their startup companies and their family obligations to invest in the greater good. They have a vision of where they want the cannabis industry to go, and they have tactics on how to get there. They might not know it all right there in their heads, but they're surrounded by other people that are also offering ideas and bouncing them off each other so that we can actually get to what we know the cannabis industry is capable of doing. The members of the cannabis industries will fight for not just what is good for their bottom line, but it was what is fair and good for all of us, which is a really stellar lead up to our opening speaker. If you want to talk about fighting for what's best for all of us, not just one's personal belief. If you want to talk about someone who's dedicated to what is fair for all humans, not just those who share his own mutual benefits. Our opening speaker does just that. He doesn't just talk the talk and feel that way, but he takes the action to support that stance, just like our Alliance members. He's shown time and time again that he is committed to protecting our natural resources, something that everybody who lives in the Pacific Northwest treasures, probably all over the world treasures. He's committed to protecting our civil rights, and he is committed to protecting our state rights, which in this setting means the right to legal, adult, and medical use cannabis. Okay, before I tell you who our opening speaker is, in case you didn't know, we have two fantastic sponsors that brought him here today. We have three fantastic sponsors. Okay, good. We have three fantastic sponsors. Cannabis Basics. Cannabis Basics is a Washington-based... Cannabis Basics and the Normal Women of Washington. Washington are proud to team up as the sponsors for Washington Attorney General Bob Ferguson's keynote speaker. Okay. Cannabis Basics is a Washington-based company, topical manufacturer, established in 1995, focusing on whole plant extraction and the synergistic relationship between cannabinoids, terpenoids, and other botanical constituents. Anybody who doesn't know what a terpenoid is, find or any licensed person in here. Cannabis Basics was a staple in both the hemp retail space going back to the early 90s, the Washington medical marijuana space, and they literally kicked the doors open to the Main Street marketplace for cannabis topicals in Washington. Cannabis Basics is a law-changing force in Washington state defining cannabis health and beauty aids, which is CHABA, if you ever hear that term, and removing these types of products out of the Washington State Controlled Substances Act. Removing these products from the Washington State Controlled Substances Act was the first removal of anything cannabis out of any state's Controlled Substances Act. Cannabis Basics founder, Warner, is an active member of the community and is a guiding force for Normal Women of Washington. Please stand. Yeah! And then the other one we got is Normal Women of Washington. The Normal Women of Washington are a remarkable group of women dedicated to ending marijuana prohibition and promoting social justice. Normal Women are committed to elevating women's voices in our democracy. Through outreach, education, and community, they live the change they want to see in the world. Please join Normal Women of Washington this legislative session in support of home grow, felony expungement, yes, and employment protections. Danica Noble, can you please stand? And then any other Normal Women of Washington, please stand. like to introduce our amazing keynote speaker, Washington State Attorney General Bob Ferguson. Bob Ferguson is a fourth-generation Washingtonian. He is a champion of civil rights, a tireless defender of democracy, and an exemplary public servant. Under his leadership in the last year alone, and just yesterday to be more specific, thanks to Hudgens, the Washington Attorney General's office has successfully sued President Trump and successfully triumphed in significant consumer protection cases. With the whole world watching, Bob Ferguson consistently stands up for Washington's legal and moral right to regulate cannabis and to take a new approach to the failed war on drugs. In fact, no other Attorney General has done more to challenge and to stand up to U.S. Attorney General Sessions and his demonstrably false and flawed position on cannabis. We thank you for your courage, for your commitment, and for your service. We're proud to have you today in the Attorney General's office and every day forward. I'd like to give a warm welcome to Attorney General Bob Ferguson.